Welcome to the Habit-Based Lifestyle Podcast. Use the power of discovering new habits to create success in all areas of life. Body, fitness and nutrition, being, spirituality, passion and purpose, balance, marriage, kids and relationships, business, marketing, sales, leadership and systems. Transform your life by learning how habits work. And now your host, a husband, father, entrepreneur, trainer, coach, and warrior, Jesse Ewell.
Welcome back to the Habit-Based Lifestyle Podcast. I'm your host, Jesse Ewell, and today we're going to be talking about the habit of results. And one of the results that I often talk about and I love to talk about and have on my show are results of clients and people I get the opportunity to work with. And today I have a very special guest, Mr. Lance Greenberg, who owns and is the creator of Greenberg Media Group, and Greenberg Media Group generates leads for coaches, trainers, and entrepreneurs. And it was actually how I came to know Lance. And hey, man, I want to welcome you on the show today.
Hey, how's it going?
It's going good, man. So you're out here in sunny California.
Yep.
All the way from Indiana.
Yeah.
So like we're going to get into a little bit about your journey and just how you started. But how did you become an entrepreneur in the first place? Like, where did that all start?
Yeah. So that's kind of a long story.
Yeah.
But I used to do construction. I was a concrete finisher.
Okay.
And, I dropped out of school. That's what my dad did. And did that for a long time and ended up destroying my back. And when I had to have a back surgery, it was a failed surgery. And, when that happened, I had nothing. Nobody wanted to hire me because that's all I really knew.
Right.
And I didn't have very good communication skills. And the only place that would hire me was a gym.
Okay, nice.
Which is funny because I was like really out of shape and I had a disability. But I kind of told them, look, I'll do whatever it takes,
Right.
And they were like, okay, well, go meet 30 people and get their names and numbers and get them in the gym. And so that's what I did. And I got really good at it. And I started getting into personal development and stuff like that. But what I found is that even though I was really good at sales, every job I would go to, I would kind of hit the ceiling because they would just watch the door and wait for the doors to swing.
Right.
And so that's how I got into digital marketing. I figured out, well, I can get as much traffic as I want. And I can actually meet the people before they ever come in. And I can kind of position myself and make them see what I want them to see before they came in. And it just, like, I was the guy that would show up and close high ticket PT because, there was already a pre-frame before they got there. And it was
right.
Just,
so you were generating your own leads for the gym and closing the same people?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
What was crazy about it is the gyms that I started working at,
right,
they were on the east side of Indianapolis, and the east side of Indianapolis is like, it's a rough area.
Okay.
So I would be like, I got kicked out of everywhere. Like, I would take this tent on my shoulder. I didn't have a car. I was taking care of my daughters by myself and didn't have a car. We were staying with a friend, and I would take this tent from the gym and I would just go set it up places.
Uh-huh.
And one time we set up out in front of Planet Fitness and they called the cops on me. But I got kicked out of everywhere on the east side doing that. And I would get names and numbers, or sometimes I would hop in their car with them and ride over to the gym with them. So it was pretty crazy.
Okay. So you were like in hustler mode back then.
Yeah.
So as you're going through this, what are some of the things that you learned from, being a concrete finisher? Like, what was some of the things you learned about that?
So I learned a lot of things, but hard work was like, that was the biggest thing. Working hard, hard work.
Right.
So I had a really hard work ethic. And that was great. And then, eventually that started going against what I was trying to do. That was around the time I met you and learned how to to do things a little bit differently.
Yeah, well, let's, we'll back up because, I had a best friend and growing up that his dad had a concrete business.
Okay.
So every summer, we were doing concrete work.
Okay.
So I was working hard, and learning that and doing that. I think I did that for 6 or 7 summers. And I learned hard work. And I think, as we talk about hard work to where now today, it's like, okay, hard work, does that mean I don't work hard? No, it just means like, you're not going to like kill yourself and keep running into the same wall over and over, because eventually you could probably stand back and see that there may be a door that you're missing.
Yeah.
And you could actually go through the door instead of trying to run through the wall. And so, when we talk about this thing of hard work, we often talk about, there's a certain amount of reps where you're going to have to work hard in life. And there's a certain amount of reps after that where you start strategically looking at, okay, where do I really put my foot down and really press hard forward? And then there's other times where I may take a little step back and say, okay, look, I can work hard and go all night till midnight, but at the end of the day, what am I sacrificing to do that? And so I think there's a difference in hard work, like you're talking about, like, killing yourself, versus kind of where you're at today. And a lot of it is like, okay, could I get a team, to do some of the stuff I'm doing? And how do I build that? And so I think as a leader, you build this skill of, it's not about hard work. It's about, hey, can we all work on this and get more done? And that's really, where we often talk about and kind of where we end up today. But I want to talk a little bit about the gym. How long did you work at a gym?
I worked at a gym from 2013 until late 2017.
Okay.
And I left a couple of times. I went and did other sales jobs that was higher ticket stuff. I went and tried to go on my own before I actually went out on my own.
Right.
And I kept going back to the gym.
Okay.
And the crazy thing is that this whole time, it's just like when I would try to do these things to not necessarily, like, I knew what my purpose was.
Right.
But I would always try to go do these other things, and it would always get ripped away from me. And it's been crazy because as I think back, before I actually got a job at the gym, before all of that stuff happened, I was still with my kid's mom.
Okay.
And she got into drugs really bad at the time, and we were having issues and stuff, and she would disappear for like 2 days, and she'd be gone or whatever.
Sure.
And one day I sat down at the table with my kids, and like, I hadn't prayed in a long time, and I'm not super religious, but I believe in like prayer and stuff. Sat down and prayed with my kids. My youngest, she was like, I think she was like 1, maybe
Okay.
she was like 1. And then one of my other daughters, and I was like, God, I know that this is going to be hell. I know that, like, I'm going to pay. I don't care what I go through. I just want to be like, I want to be better. I want to be a good dad. And it's like, after that, she called. I got a phone call from the hospital. We hadn't seen her for like 2 days. And basically she totaled the car, and like came out that she was doing drugs. And after that, like, I lost everything. Like, everything was ripped from me. And so I've been on this pattern over the last however many years of like things, if I'm not doing what I'm supposed to be doing, everything gets kind of ripped from me. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah. If you're not in alignment with, what you're doing, eventually, the universe will start showing you, hey, I'm going to start pulling these things away until you realize you got to go in another direction.
Yeah.
So you work at the gym, you realize you love sales. You realize, hey, I do this marketing thing, and you're getting leads. What made you decide to go from that to just doing your own thing?
I mean, some of it was my family, because I was working night and day. I just kept feeling this pull to do it. And I remember the last time I was at the gym, I had a dream that the gym was going to close down.
Okay.
Which they are actually closing down. And I had a dream that they were closing down, and I went to the VP and I was like, hey man, these are the things that we need to change, and he pretty much was like, fuck off. Like, this is the way we've always done everything.
Right.
Like, we're not going to change anything. And I was driving to work one day. I know this probably I would hate this if one of my employees did it, but I let my employees be honest with me and stuff and open. But I was on my way to work one day and I was just like, this is wrong. Like, I hit him up. I called him up. I was like, hey man, like, if nothing's going to change, then I got to go. I said, I need to go into business for myself. And that's what I did at the time. I only had like one client paying me a very, very, very small amount. And my wife thought I was crazy, but she supported me. And, now it's taken me here. So
you were married. How long had you been married when this happened?
Not long, months.
Okay.
It was months. I got married I got married in 2017, that last year at the gym. So yeah, it had been months. So it was like, we got married and then just a bunch of crazy stuff happened. And I'm like, hey, I quit my job today. And she's like, seriously,
Yeah.
So it's been pretty crazy.
So you quit, you're kind of newly married, and like, how long did it take you to start getting clients and
a couple
all
weeks,
that stuff?
Couple weeks.
Okay.
I was just like, you know what? I'm going to work as hard as I did for everybody else for myself, and that's what I did. And I just started marketing myself organically on social media. I started doing that, picked up some clients. Then I started investing more in, learning different things and getting better. And, now I have 3 people on my team.
Nice.
And, we have a lot of good clients and we're continuously growing. So it's been awesome.
Yeah. So I think we started working together around April, I think, of last year, or March of last year. I had kind of just launched Habit-Based Lifestyle. I was probably like 90 days into it. But we, first I actually reached out to you, was like, hey, I wanted you to do some Facebook stuff. So you started doing that. And then I think at the time you were coaching with someone else. And you're like, no, I'm good with coaching. And so we went a few months, and then all of a sudden, you started coaching. But talk about like some of the results you've gotten just in the last, gosh, I guess it's been like 8-9 months now.
Yeah,
but
it feels like it's been like years or something. It's like we were in a time machine.
Yeah, so let's talk about the habit-based lifestyle side, and then we'll come over to the other side as far as results.
Yeah, so, oh man, there's been a lot of results, a whole lot of results. It was kind of like I was in this pattern of, just attracting. I was still in that hard work thing. I was still in like attracting these relationships that were like horrible, especially on the business side,
right?
Friendships and stuff. And then I started listening to this podcast, and that's how I kind of discovered you. And I turned to my wife one day and I was like, it would be really awesome to work with him or whatever. And then when we were doing the marketing stuff, I was seeing all of your client results, and I was like, holy shit, I want to work with this dude. Like, this is crazy. Like, all the results I was seeing of everybody that you were working with, it was almost like too good to be true. I was like, there's no way these guys are getting these results. And, the stuff that has happened in my marriage alone, like, or even with my kids, at the time, just 8 months ago, my kids didn't really, we hung out, but not really, my wife and we weren't really going on dates that much. We were kind of like, we were struggling,
Right.
And with my kids, I have 4 kids with 2 different moms. I had them when I was young. I was struggling with that. They didn't want me to have them more, just because of all the stuff that goes into that,
Right.
And, so one of the main results that I've seen is like my kids want to hang out with me way more. Their moms are way more open. And I think a lot of that is just a lot of the stuff you've taught me about energy and attracting things and getting what you want. You know? I was on the path of getting everything I don't want. I was really good at that.
Yeah.
You know? So that's one of the big ones. You know, and with my wife, the cool thing is I've done other coaching programs and stuff, and, you know, they were cool. Some of them were good, but I always felt like it separated me and my wife. And, you know, now she's doing coaching with me. She's doing personal development with me. I'm watching her do like videos and stuff. And that's super new for her. Like before I remember hitting you up like, hey man, my wife, she doesn't want to do the videos and stuff. So it's been huge. We've gotten way closer. And the thing that like I want everybody to understand, if they're married, that is your relationship with your wife and your kids is power in your business.
Right.
And so that's been able to give me certainty and power and generate a whole different roster of clients. You know, when I first started working with you, I hated my business. I hated it. I hated my clients. I just hated how I was doing those things.
Yeah. So let's go back to you first start working with me. A couple of things that stuck out to me is one, you were on GERD.
Yeah. Yes. I forgot about that.
Yeah, I know you did. It's been so long since you've been on it, but I want to remind you of it because it's easy to forget about our results, you know, when we've continued to get more results. And so I want to take you back to there because, you know, I remember the conversation we had that day. I'm like, dude, why are you on this medication? You kind of gave me your story. And I said, well, do you even know if it works? And you're like, well, of course it does. I'm alive. I'll die if I get off of it.
Yeah. So that's crazy that you bring that up because I did forget about that. That was major because people who have GERD, they suffer majorly. Like it's horrible. And so I would wake up. I used to be in like the greatest shape of my life. And then, you know, running my business, I was really sick when we started working together. I'd wake up in the middle of the night, like choking on, you know, my acid and food and stuff. I had all these gut problems and I had tried, you know, obviously I have knowledge of fitness and all that. And I had tried all these things and I couldn't get off the medication. At least I thought I couldn't, you know?
Right.
And yeah, like now I don't have any of those issues, but the stuff that we worked through, it was like literally overnight. Like it was crazy. It was like, it just stopped. And people don't believe me. They're like, no way, man. That's like some hokey stuff or, you know, whatever. I'm like, no, I'm serious. Like it was literally overnight. Like it healed me. And, you know, I don't really get acid reflux anymore or any of that stuff. And I had been going to doctors and trying all kinds of shit.
Right.
And it wasn't working. So yeah, that was a major result for me. And, you know, obviously I've lost weight since then and all that, but that medicine that I was taking was killing me. Like it
literally it was. And you know, the thing is what I like to tell people is, listen, the truth can cure anything. And I think what really happened is you started being honest about, hey, do I really need this? And like, how do I know? And all of a sudden it's like, dude, I'll die if, you know, I don't take it at night. And I was like, well, you sure? You're like, yeah, I'll die. And I was like, okay, well, if you don't wake up tomorrow, I'll, you know, message your wife and let her know that it was my fault because you stopped taking GERD. And all of a sudden, you know, the next day you're like, oh my God, like I didn't die. And I remember that was kind of like the moment where you started like questioning, do I really need this? And that kind of kickstarted you into the next thing. Do I really need all these clients that I don't like?
Yeah.
You know, and we started working on that. And then all of a sudden you started changing that. And then we got into, you know, your kids, your relationship with your wife. You guys even came to marriage boot camp back in September.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's
life-changing.
Yeah. Well, not only that, it was the first time you'd ever flown.
Yeah.
You know, anywhere. And, you know, I think it was the third time you'd ever been out of Indiana.
Yeah, I mean, the only other place I've really been is New Jersey because that's where we're from.
Okay.
But like other than that, like I didn't go anywhere, man. I was diagnosed with PTSD, so that was really bad. It was like, you know, we worked through some of that stuff, and you know, everything's different now, man. It's like I don't constantly look over my shoulder, you know, because And that was kind of what happened with the GERD. Was it brought me back through us talking and working through some of this stuff and questioning things. I remember we were doing an exercise, and it took me back to an experience that I had where somebody got shot, and
Right.
Some of those things, and I couldn't sleep because of that. So yeah, everything changed after that. It was
Right.
like crazy.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of old stories and just old things and things that happen in your life, you start questioning, hey, how do I look at this as something that I got to learn from rather than had to hang on to, and almost use it as a disability, my entire life or part of my life, into where it's like, no, I actually have the power to choose something different in that place. And I can leverage this actually as a strength.
Yeah. And, another result that I didn't even really think about it, but, seeing my dad, hang out with my dad for the first Christmas in 10 years.
Yeah, that's amazing.
I went 10 years just destroying and I would build up things in my life and then I would destroy it,
Right.
And that's been another major result, is like, actually before I got here, my birthday's in a few days or whatever. Before I got here, he hit me up and was like, "Hey, do you want to go get something to eat on your birthday?" And I've had a lot of people that, I knew them 5 years ago or even a couple of years ago,
Right.
that they're like, "Dude, you are a totally different guy. Like, what happened?" And then I start talking about the coaching and all that stuff, but it's been crazy.
Yeah, man. So, when I look at the last 8-9 months, like, you're looking at like 5 years of results in like a 9-month period.
Yeah, I would say 10 years of results in a 9-year period. I mean, even my wife has just been like, "Wow, like, you changed so much."
Yeah. So it's been amazing. It's been amazing to see. You and your wife both went through marriage boot camp, which, we're kind of revamping that and changing that into power couples, but the result is the main point of it. But like, what was a result that you guys got? I know you touched a little bit, hey, our relationship's different, but like, what part of your relationship's really different?
Our communication and our connection and the honesty and, the fighting. Like, when we fight, we're fighting for what we want.
Right.
And we know where we're going together, as opposed to, she's on her path, I'm on my path, and there's no connection. There's no
teamwork or kind of cohesion.
Yeah, there's really not a lot of that. And then, if we do get into a fight, which is gonna happen, people are gonna fight if they're married, period. We end up using it to propel us to get what we want. So we've learned those tools, and we just understand each other a lot better.
Right.
There was a lot of things that, you get married to someone, you sure, you feel like you love them and
them.
Yeah. And there's chemistry and all this stuff, but there's a large gap. And, what I learned with marriage boot camp was that getting married is just like the surface. You're just getting started.
Yeah, it's kind of like the buy-in.
Yeah, that's it. It's like in sales, it's like your low ticket sale or something, you're just getting started. And, our marriage is like, after marriage boot camp, it kind of felt like we were dating again, like we were teenagers or something, which is awesome. And we've been able to keep it that way. But also map out where we want to go together, like, doing the marriage mapping and all the things, and then being able to give each other feedback and just all the tools that we learned, because I never learned any of that stuff from my dad.
Yeah.
My parents didn't know anything like that, and I didn't really learn how to be married,
Yeah.
So it really taught me like how to be married and for me and my spouse to get what we want.
Yeah. How to show up for your wife, and, I'll even say is like, hey, my parents have been married over 45 years.
Yeah.
They didn't teach me any of that stuff. What they have taught me is, to be committed, and, obviously you got to fight for what you want. But like, I think a big thing inside of this is there is no blueprint. Like no one's teaching you how to be married because, you know, most people are trying to figure that shit out themselves.
Yeah.
I'm still trying to figure it out. But at the same time, I'm willing to share, you know, my experience, what I've been through, what tools work. And that's really where the power is like, you know, when you first start personal development, what usually happens is, you know, the husband or the wife, whoever does it first is kind of like, you know, they're like hiding, like, you know, wife comes like, oh shit, I'm going to put my computer down and be like, hey, how you doing? But what's cool is to watch, even when I first started doing it, that's kind of how I was. It's like, hey, there's nothing wrong. You know, I'm not doing anything. And then as you keep going through it, it's like, now we're doing it together. And it's like, hey, you know, come check this out or let's work on this. And it's a completely different feeling than, you know, before.
Yeah.
And I think the power that I see in you guys, especially, you know, I watched your wife come in and I watched you come in, and it's like, not only like you're coming straight off the plane, first plane trip ever. It's like bringing Mr. T across the country. And then not only that, your wife has no idea what the hell she's about to get into.
No, not at all.
And all of a sudden you're in the middle of like, you know, this intense week or a couple days with your wife. And I remember the first part of it, it was like the look on her face, you know, she wanted to kill me. And then she's looking at you like she wants to kill you for the same.
That's the thing that I love about it. And part of our results is like a lot of women, from what I understand anyway, I've seen this a lot where women kind of, they downplay like what they really want or what they're thinking. And, you know, that was part of our issue with connection and communication is like, she would kind of people please and you kind of tell me what I wanted to hear. You know, she just wanted to be a good wife.
Right.
But then I couldn't ever figure out what she wanted so that I could make her happy.
Right.
So through that experience, it was like after that, she told me, even if it was what I didn't want to hear, you know, but she told me like, hey, this is the truth. This is what I want. And she was clear about it. And it made us stronger together and it made us closer. And now we can have those conversations. So yeah, it was pretty crazy seeing that, but then seeing how powerful that she was amazing.
Yeah. And like to watch where you guys were back in September to, you know, now you're coming in January and watching the difference in change of energy, confidence, just uncertainty as a couple. It's been amazing to watch. So
yeah. And we're actually planning to have a baby soon too. So that's another result.
Nice.
Maybe we'll name him Jesse.
Yeah, there you go. It'd have to be Jesse the third.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, well, hey man, is there any last thing you want to tell anybody out there that may be on the fence with, you know, habit-based lifestyle, you know, power couples, whatever that is?
Yeah. You know, when you're an entrepreneur, when you're married, it can be kind of lonely and you hide your problems and you like feel bad about it and guilty about it. But what I found through this with a lot of the other couples, it's like, they're like, hey, me too. You know, you're going to find that a lot of the problems you have, they have them too, which aside from all the tools we learned, aside from all the coaching and the experience, you have other couples that it inspires you. It makes you feel better, you know, to know that. And then you can kind of be open and honest. And when you're open and honest, you start getting more results, you know? So I would say whatever you're going through, there's other couples, they're going through the same thing, or, you know, in your business, whatever you're going through, someone else is going through it, you know?
Sure.
They just don't talk about it.
Right. Yeah. You don't have to do it alone. So, well, hey, I want to tell you, one, congratulations for doing the work. And, you know, I'm super proud of you and your wife. You know, not only when I first met you to where you're at now, it's like I've seen, you know, major changes and just in who you are as a person, you know, who you are as a husband, father, leader, businessman. And I want to recognize that in you because, you know, it's important for us to take a step back every once in a while and really look and just be like, hey, like, I don't talk about like a lot of times we don't talk about where we used to be because we're out like trying to outrun that person. But sometimes it's important that you step back and you look and you really measure, like, man, who am I today versus who I was a year ago? And you're not even close to the same guy, you know? So I want to recognize you for that and the work you've put in. So congratulations.
Appreciate that. Appreciate you.
Yeah, you're welcome, man. So if you guys are looking to connect further with a group of like-minded people, join myself and so many others in the Habit-Based Lifestyle Secrets group on Facebook, where we will be dropping daily habits to help you live to your full potential. If you want to be one of our next case studies and begin living this habit-based lifestyle, feel free to reach out to me, Jesse at habitbasedlifestyle.com. Until next episode, have a great day.